We have a total solar eclipse in Aries happening on April 8th, and the entire world is about to end. And I'm here to tell you why that's so not true. And if there is any time in your life right now to reclaim your personal power, to really step into your own energetic sovereignty, it is during this solar eclipse. So let's talk about all the doomsday stuff. Let's talk about all the biblical prophecies and all the apocalyptic kind of things that are about to go down, and find out why none of that should matter to you. None of that should be your concern. And I'm going to go into what really should be of your concern, because all of these things are simply distractions. Distractions to take you away from having your focus where it could be most potent, most powerful, most transformational, which when we ever have these eclipses, big change and big transformation are always part of the process. And this solar eclipse is not exempt. So let's get into all of this because, I've had some people reach out to me, Nicole, what do you think is going to be happening? There's like all these biblical prophecies that are being touted. This is the end of times, the end of world. I can't tell you how many times I've heard about this throughout my entire awakening, and let me just fair warning here. I've fallen prey to all this stuff myself. I've even been part of it. And yeah, it's part of the spiritual journey, to be quite honest. I could sit here and shame myself for it, and I'm not going to shame anyone else who's doing it. But I'm just here to tell you, don't buy into it, because this planet and the human species has been around for hundreds of thousands of years. And well, at least the people have, the planet millions and billions of years. But we're not going anywhere. All right. We're not going anywhere. And if anything, this is actually a really exciting eclipse for your own personal transformation, for very deep healing, and something that could really liberate you over the next 3 to 6 months, and for some of you, year, but it's really opening up an entire 19-year cycle for you on what's coming about. So the next time that the North Node is in Aries will be about 19 years from now. So take advantage of this time, because there is a lot going on that makes this really special. So, are you being harvested? That is the main question to be asking yourself when you look at all of the fear porn, all of the doomsday prophecies that are going on out there. And that doesn't mean that some bad crap might not be happening around this eclipse in our world. I'm not here to say nothing's going to happen, but let's face it, we've seen some really crappy things happen in our lifetime, not so far away, just a few years ago. I don't think anything like of that nature is about to happen, but yes, when we have eclipses, what we need to understand is that, especially when it's a solar eclipse, when it's a solar eclipse in ancient times, it is said to affect kings, queens, world leaders. And so, yeah, we could see something bad, or something unforeseen happen to a world leader or a king or queen or someone in that kind of position, where there might be some kind of conflict. There might be some war arising. Okay. But war has been around since the beginning of time as well. And it's not that I condone it, but let's just be honest with ourselves. All right. So, this particular eclipse in Aries is really potent because, one, with it happening in Aries, which is ruled by Mars, which is the planet that rules, of course, war and conflict, but it also rules many good things. Okay. But we've got Chiron conjuncting at the exact degree. That's what makes this particular eclipse quite special. It's very rare that you have a planet conjuncting the sun and the moon at the exact same degree at the exact same minute. Okay, so this isn't just like kind of a few minutes off, like we're talking right down to the minute. This is a pure conjunction. And so Chiron is a big player in this solar eclipse. But let's just first go over what eclipse mean for you, okay? Because, you know, eclipses will always bring in fated change. They will bring in big transformation. Sometimes you don't want it to happen because it feels really uncomfortable. And I'm going to give you guys a real big heads up. This one is going to feel really uncomfortable for the majority of us. I most certainly am already feeling very uncomfortable. There's okay, so this is happening on the north node of Aries. And so the north node always represents our future. It represents the solutions to our problems. And so the solution isn't something that we're used to. It's something that is unfamiliar, which means we have to go outside of our comfort zone to get the solution, to have this change. And of course, we as the human species don't like change. We're creatures of comfort. And so all of us feel this discomfort and we feel this like, oh, do I have to? Do I have to? And so this is really kind of coming up, and I would think this might be coming up in a lot of your psyches and your dreams, and I'll get into that and why in a bit. But remember that eclipses are not one-day events. I don't know what's going to happen on this eclipse, but something could happen on the 8th, or it could happen a couple days before, a couple days after. But what you really need to focus on is that eclipses are cyclical and carry the energies for 3 to 6 months, which means not all of the details are going to come out right now in this moment on the 8th. You may not understand what exactly is going on just yet, but more will get revealed to you. And some of you, if you have planets, especially those of you in the cardinal signs, if you have any planets between 17 and 21 degrees of Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn, you guys are going to be feeling this the most, and you will likely have a especially this is a personal planet, like I would say your sun, your moon, Mercury, Mars, or Venus, or even your ascendant. Okay, but I would say the ascendant, sun and moon primarily, you guys may feel it for the entire year. Okay, this may be something that goes on and opens up a really big transformative year for you. So with the North Node being on this particular total solar eclipse, which again, it is making this X across North America. Okay, so there's this idea of X marks the spot. And yes, we are likely going to see, with it being in Aries and Mars being conflict and war, and the opposite sign of Aries is Libra, which is harmony and balance and trying to find like negotiations, peace. We are likely going to see some kind of division. So this X is probably like separating some things. But whenever something is separating, it is also the polar opposite is happening at the same time. So yes, you may see some things separating, but that means that other things are coming together. And it's just a matter of where you choose to put your energy. Okay, this is extremely important. So don't look to your past, look to your future in this solar eclipse. This is about releasing karmic patterns. This is about no longer allowing the past to dictate. This is about stepping forward into the future, into your dreams, into your desires, into what you feel very called to. The North Node calls to us. So, and the North Node also has a very expansive energy. Sometimes it acts a little bit like Jupiter. And so things can get really big when it comes to the North Node. Part of the reason why is because whenever something is unknown to us, it feels bigger than what we might think maybe after a year, 2 years, 3 years of being used to that energy, right? Anything that you're new to, big world. It's like if you think about a child when they come into the world, their world is so big because everything is brand new to them, right? It's the same kind of energy when we have this North Node. So, because this North Node is ruled by Mars, and Mars is in Pisces right now, you can expect that you're going to likely, if you haven't already, I don't know if you have already, I most certainly have already been noticing this, but I have been noticing that with Mars in Pisces, you're going to have all these subconscious fears and anxieties and insomnia start to come up. Your dreams might be really wild and revealing in some ways. I have had some really anxious dreams. Really, some have been very interesting. Like I was just telling everyone in my alchemy group, the other day that I literally had two people speaking a completely foreign language to me, and they were speaking it fluently. I had no idea what it was. It kind of sounded a little bit like Russian, but it wasn't. It was like it was a beautiful, softer kind of Russian kind of energy, but I don't know. But and I remember being in my dream and going, wow, I I mean, is it possible to dream and have another language that you don't even know be completely spoken to you in a fluent way, like that's just nonstop? So, anyways, there's crazy things happening here, right? But then again, let's go into Mars and Pisces, because Pisces in general represents the 12th house. The 12th house, which I'm going to go into a little bit more detail, I'm going to show you guys a sheet that I think might be very helpful for you to understand the energies that are really perpetuating Mars right now. Because remember, all the planets are in Aries. We've got Venus, Chiron, Mercury, the Sun, Moon, North Node. They're all taking their commands. I don't, commands isn't the right word, but their direction from Mars, because Mars is the ruler of Aries. So they're all in Mars's domain, but Mars is in Pisces. So Mars is exploring the unknown. It's exploring your deep wounds. It's exploring your trauma, your fears, your anxieties, your shames, your guilts, but it's also exploring your spirituality. How are you going to transcend this? It's exploring your inner child. All these things have to do with Pisces and the 12th house. But again, I'm going to show you guys way more details that'll help you kind of take some notes and understand more about how this will unpack for you. So remember, this is kind of creating with Mars and Pisces, it's creating a little bit of a pull. So already when we have that X, we're already getting a pull action because Mars represents our body. Mars represents literal embodiment, which by the way, if you missed this week's podcast, I highly suggest you check it out because it'll be very helpful to you during this total solar eclipse. Again, never planned it that way, just seems to work out that way. But Mars represents embodiment. Okay, it represents the body, our physical energy. Pisces represents the unknown. It's the mystical, it's the intangible, right? It's the spiritual realm. And so we have these two kind of, in some ways, wanting to pull apart, but at the same time, needing to come together. So it's hard. There's going to be a lot of these subconscious fears. Now, Pisces is an adaptable sign, right? It's a mutable sign. And so Mars is needing to become more adaptable. It's needing to go with the flow. It's needing to know how to like pivot and change on a dime. And that's going to be really important to your journey going forward as you go through and see what's coming up for you in this total solar eclipse. It's a entirely huge rebirth time for you. It is a rebirth of yourself. And I want to say that for any of you that are coming to the retreat after this solar eclipse, this is setting the tone for you guys. Like this is big energy, and I will say that the retreat, we are now 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks away. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. If you are still considering on coming, this will promise to be an incredibly transformational time for you. If you're looking to really go deep into yourself for that rebirth, for really going deep into the subconscious, which this eclipse is bringing up for all of us. Okay. Like my entire retreat program is designed around Pisces, the 12th house. We've got Mars in there and it's dictating everything with this solar eclipse. It's just so well aligned with these energies right now. So tickets are still available. And if you're interested, the link is below this video to sign out the form to apply to see if you can come. So Aries, what does Aries represent? With this new moon, sun, all conjunct Chiron, all very close to the North Node, in Aries. Okay, what does Aries represent? It represents all things new, right? It's the first sign of the zodiac. So we're talking initiations, new beginnings, new sense of self, new sense of identity, but it's also bringing up ability to break new courage, right? New motivation, new inspiration in ways that maybe you've never even explored it before. And so all of this is kind of coming up with this particular new moon. Now it's happening again at the 19th degree. So again, if you have any planets between 17 and 21 degrees of Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, you guys are going to be most affected. I would say particularly Aries, Cancer, Capricorn will be the most. But if you are a Leo or a Sag, you're going to feel very nice energies. You're going to feel very flowing energies to this. So let's talk about Chiron conjuncting this sun and moon for the solar eclipse. Chiron has been in Aries for a while, right? It's finishing up what I think is like an 8-year transit for it in Aries. And so the questions that you need to be asking for yourself during this total solar eclipse is, are you identifying with old wounds that you need to release, that you need to let go? Like, it's not who you are anymore. Have those wounds been holding you back? Have those wounds been creating a narrative that repeats cycles that you're so exhausted of, you're so tired of, that you want to break free of? This is a time where you can be really tap into boldness and courage to really, break free of that. And so this narrative that you're ready to let go of, that you've identified with when it comes to your own healing, your wounds, like, for instance, I could still be identifying with someone who was sexually abused as a child. And yes, that's part of my past. It'll always be part of my past. But I really don't identify with it anymore because I've done so much healing with it. And I don't want that to be my narrative anymore. I still have it there because there's a lot of wisdom that has come from that. And I want to keep that wisdom. And so I know that it's there, but it's not creating my narrative anymore. It's not fueling it. It's not driving it. There's other things. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to take the next steps. So ask yourself, what traumas or painful events that you are still working through, that you're like, you know what? It's time to let go. It's time to be done with this. It's not who I am. Remember, are you identifying with it? And so what have you been shackled to for eternity? So when we think about Chiron as the wounded healer, as this, the mythical story of Chiron is that, in order to help Prometheus be released from his own chains, he had to give up his own mortality, his mortality or immortality. I think it was his mortality, because he ends up having this immortality of reliving his wounds over and over and over again, because he was his way of freeing Prometheus. So this is important to understand, like, what chains have you been shackled to for eternity? You might be experiencing past life traumas, stuff really from your inner child coming up, stuff that, just is so foreign to you. It feels very karmic. This is all coming up for you to, like, what are you ready to change? What are you ready to break free of? Now, when it comes to Chiron, this is about releasing old traumas. This is about embracing a new path for yourself, a new identity, a new sense of self, a new adventure. And a lot of healing energy is available during this eclipse. It's really fueling the next 3 to 6 months. Again, a year for some of you, but again, it's starting a whole new cycle for the next 19 years. Okay. So there's something here that's going to begin, and you're planting the seeds, and you're going to start to go on this new path, this new journey. Mars in Pisces is really important to understand here on how it's affecting Chiron, because Chiron, as the wounded healer, bringing on all these healing energies, well, Mars is in Pisces. Pisces is an extremely healing sign. Okay, so Pisces represents the inner child. Actually, let me do this now. Let me bring up the sheet for you so that you guys can see what the 12th house actually represents. So, as you can see, this is actual page out of a document that everyone when they get their Forbidden Journey blueprint, if you take the retreat, any of those, you guys get access to this. This is one of the sheets. So these are keywords for the 12th house, which is ruled by Pisces traditionally. Okay. So we've got spirituality, unconscious, superconscious, and oneness. All of these things are definitely be coming up. You're going to feel a big drive. Like, again, Mars is there. So Mars is motivated by this stuff. Mars is wanting to take action. Mars wants to boldly step forward into all of this, right? So Mars is also looking at your dreams and your fantasies. This is about self-transcendence, and it's also about self-undoing. So how have you been self-sabotaging yourself? How do you transcend that? How do you take your dreams and bring them into reality? How do you tap into lost dreams, forgotten dreams? And what are your fantasies? What are your fantasies that maybe there's something there that really is meant to fuel you? Or have you been in touch with, have you had these fantasies that are keeping you from grounding yourself in this reality and actually taking action, okay, to build what it is that you want to build? It's about illusions, it's about healing, it's about deep fears, and it's about retreating from the world. And this is so interesting because this is why, like, you guys know that when I had with the retreat coming up, it literally is a retreat. This is why, like, the retreat is going to be so powerful this time of year with all the energies that are around it, is because we're actually being called to perhaps retreat in some way, to go within, go into our deeper spiritual sense, really connect to that one source, really connect to the one power that truly fuels us, and stop giving it away to all these harvesting machines like the news, and even like alternative media, and any kind of podcast or YouTube channel or social media that channel that's telling you end of days are coming. Like, it's preposterous. It's absolutely, like, once you've been in the game long enough and you've like been awake and you've been aware and you've seen, it's a cycle. It's the same thing. And it's like, do you want to get off the merry-go-round? Do you want to get off the wheel? Because it is a literal hamster wheel. And so this is where we are dealing with your deepest fears, the fears that are so primal, it feels like it owns you. Okay. And so healing your illusions. Now, karma, shame, and guilt, your secrets, your hidden enemies are all parts of the 12th house. So again, what are you keeping secret from the world? What are you keeping secret from others? What are you maybe keeping secret from your own conscious awareness? All of these things are coming up for review that Mars is really looking at: sleep, escapism, addictions, sorrow. So again, if you've been addicted to something or you use something to escape this world, Mars is kind of coming up and saying, hey, maybe it's time for a new path. Maybe it's time to confront your demons. Maybe it's time to let go and actually have the courage and the boldness to start a new healing path for yourself that is about the body, but it's also about the inner world, your subconscious, your unconscious. Again, sleep. You guys are probably feeling like crazy dreams, and some of you might be even nightmares coming up. Again, this is the house of the inner child, feeling limitless, no boundaries, and being a hermit. And so for some of you, it's not so much, it's interesting because Mars wants to go out into the world. Pisces is like, no, I want to go within. I think what this solar eclipse is about, like, we need to go within first to find out how we're going to step out into the world. So it's not about a full retreat and staying there. It's about going into the retreat to get all the answers, to get all the keys, which again, what is Chiron? It's glyph on the astrology chart, is a literal key. So it's like looking for the keys that you need to unearth and bring into your conscious awareness, and allow those to guide you on your journey of what is ever coming up. Because remember, these are new beginnings. So music, photography, artistry, film are all parts of the 12th house. Plant medicine, hello. Hospitals, jail, mental asylums. So again, this is where we can see that there might be this need to really look at your health, look at your body, look at your mind, because of the mental asylums, and the mental health is such a key here. Again, we're talking about anxiety, we're talking about fears. So you really need to look into all of these things and how they're affecting you. Again, intuition can get really strong. You might be motivated to really strengthen your intuition, to bring that out, which is something, again, that I'll be doing at the retreat. It's how to activate more of your intuition by going deep into the subconscious layers, by going into all the hidden places to look at those fractals of your soul. Because with this part, we're talking about forgotten dreams, buried passions, right? Untapped reservoirs of your inner strength. That's what this is all about. This is what you're being guided to do. Go in and find this. So you have the courage to go out and actually live the dreams that you've wanted to live, but you've maybe forgotten about. Tap into the passions that you've buried that you're like, oh, that's not valid or valuable in this world. Again, where this is about endings, foreign places, deserted islands, family shadows. It's about the womb, meditation, psychic abilities, and faith. This is so important. So all of this is coming about. So you're really meant to kind of go back to the beginning, back to the moment of you being in the womb, and really tap into what is the blueprint there. What is the blueprint that you chose for this lifetime? Because when you're in the womb, you actually make decisions as a soul on what it is that you want to experience in this life. Your blueprint is not designed from before you enter the womb. You're still creating it while you're in the womb space. And so in this way, you can actually use this time to go within, go back into the womb space, break free of all time, because Pisces breaks free of all boundaries. There is no time, there is no space, there is none of that. And you can go in and you can start reconstructing, what is that blueprint? What do I want to make changes to? Change some of the contracts. This is where you get to do all of that. And that is something that we do at the retreat as well. Compassion. This is really important. Because, and I'll go into with Mars conjuncting Saturn during this eclipse, compassion is so important for this journey. You need to really find a lot of the compassion will be a huge ally for you in how you move forward. So not being so hard on yourself, not being so hard on others, having grace within your own self, giving other people grace, not letting this be a time of causing a lot of separation, but perhaps being willing to like have this focus be on you and all that, but also, you know, understanding that we're in this world together and that we're all struggling. We're all going through our own pains. And yeah, some people may like, well, you don't know how hard I have it. And it's like, well, you don't know how hard I have it. It's like, listen, we all got our shit. We all got our pains. And so having compassion, being vulnerable, really kind of tapping into those things will be so powerful for you during this total solar eclipse and the months following. Self-defeatism, repression, privacy, victimhood, really key. You have a choice here to really kind of go into the victim, or, you know, and be scared and allow people to scare you and take your energy from you, harvest your energy, and you be depleted. And then look, that energy, what does that energy do? It gets fed into the timeline you absolutely do not want to exist. Okay. And it brings you closer to that timeline manifesting. We don't want to be doing that. Listen, you are all super powerful people. You are awakening. You are tapping into your inner reservoirs. You're tapping into your intuition. There's so much power that you have as an individual when you focus on healing, when you focus on birthing these new things into the world, actually facing with courage and boldness to step in and execute these things for the world to see, for the world to experience. Those are the things that change timelines. Those are the things that make the future brighter. And I'll tell you, no matter what you're hearing on the news or other outlets of alternative media, I, within my deepest hearts of hearts, feel a very bright future ahead of us. That doesn't mean that nothing bad is going to happen between now and then, but it does mean that I see so much growth. I see a much higher a level of consciousness awareness. But to get there, we have to go through the dirt. It's the mud and the lotus, right? You have to go through the enlightenment of the dirt and the mud to have the beautiful lotus appear and have all the petals unfurl. So this is really important. Again, it's past life gifts. Past life gifts. This is another thing we're going to be activating at the retreat. This is something that, you know, has definitely been coming online with me. I talked about it on my recent podcast, episode 341, where I now have this interesting intelligence in my hands that starts doing all of these movements to open up energy fields and communicate with higher dimensions. That is going to allow me to facilitate a much more potent healing space for everyone at the retreat. I can't wait to use that with people in real time. That is one of the most exciting things for me, just on my own personal level. I can't wait to see what comes through for everyone else. So this is what you guys are looking at with Mars in Pisces and how it's communicating to all the planets. And and the reason why this is so important is because Pisces is such a healing sign. Chiron is the wounded healer. Chiron is literally to the minute conjunct to the sun and moon. So remember that there are keys. Chiron is saying to you, there is a key that is available to you to unlock through your wounding, to unlock some sort of innate power within you that gives you the courage, the boldness to step forward into your dreams right now. This is about healing yourself, liberating yourself from a wound that keeps you stuck, that makes you feel unworthy, that makes you feel vulnerable or even weak. Okay, so if any of that's starting to come up, don't worry, you're on par. You're right where you're supposed to be. This is what's coming up for all of us. Trust me, I'm going through it myself. I am not exempt from this. I am experiencing severe anxiety over some things, and I'm having to really lean into faith. Remember, faith, Pisces, 12th house, very important. Very important on this journey, and so important because we also do have the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction coming up on the 20th. Now that Jupiter is getting very close to Uranus right now. The window for that time period is already opened up for this eclipse. So you're already starting to feel that. It's important to have faith that you could have a sudden windfall, a sudden shift in something dramatic that allows you to open up your future. This is a time for opportunity to come when you least expected it. And so having faith is so important right now. Now, let me just quickly talk about the Mars and Saturn, because I think this is where like a lot of the doomsday things are also coming into play, because obviously we have the two most malefic planets coming together in the sign of Pisces. But look, as malefic as they also hold deep wisdom. Okay, you've got the planet Mars of the child, the self, right? Coming up to Saturn, the parent, the authority figure, the teacher in some ways, holds a lot of wisdom. Now you have those two coming together. They won't be exactly conjunct, they're just 1 degree apart. But this is important because Mars is about to have a conversation with Saturn. And I will say that Saturn rules your reputation, right? Because it rules Capricorn, it rules your public image, it rules your status, it rules your ability to be a leader, to step up, to evolve beyond like the status quo. This is about breaking ceilings, this is about leveling up, right? And so Saturn is wanting you to become your own authority. And having this conversation with Mars is saying, okay, because they're both in Pisces, this is about how do you become a spiritual authority for yourself? How do you become the healing authority for yourself? How do you allow your intuition to become an authority in your life, your dreams? All of that is kind of coming up, paying attention to it, and then grounding it into this reality, taking the action of Mars, being inspired and motivated. And Saturn is a very much grounded, like, let's build it. Let's know, Saturn is about like, no fuss, right? No fluff, none of that. Like, let's just get down to the bare bones and what needs to be done. Like, let's simplify this. Let's get it done. And so all of this is like a really good energy period for you to be fueling this into existence. So I know that there's these crazy biblical prophecies out there. I know there's these doomsdays. There's like apocalyptic times are ahead of us. The markets are going to crash, all that kind of, there's so much sensationalism. Do not buy into it. This is the time where you need to step into your own authority. This is the time where you need to take back your power. This is the time where energetic sovereignty is so key. Chiron, key. You might find that this is like, what have I given my energy away to? Who have I given my energy away to? Am I ready to reclaim it? What fears have I given my energy away to? What anxieties have I given my energy away to? Am I ready to rise above it? Am I ready to do something new? Because you are setting the tone for the next 19 years through this solar eclipse. So don't get distracted by all the fear porn out there. Don't get distracted by all the doomsday predictions, because what you really need to be focused on is what you're building, what you're setting the tone for in this time. And if you set the tone for other people's misery, or I should say, well, other people's misery, which could turn into your misery, but other people's miserable predictions, like, listen, we've had war, we've had financial crashes, we've been shut down globally. We've had apocalyptic times of the earth coming up before. We've survived. You know what? This is a time, remember, Mars is in Pisces, it's the ruler. You have to be adaptable. This is about being able to pivot. This is about being able to go with the flow. Pisces, again, going with the flow. And it's about being able to adapt to any situation that comes your way and knowing that you've got the strength and the resilience within you. And that is what these times are doing for us. They're building strength and resilience. If it was easy all the time, we'd have flaccid muscles. All of us be walking around like with no muscles on our body, like that, even from a spiritual sense. This is about building you up into a warrior of light. Okay, remember, you can be a warrior of light, and that's what the sign of Aries does. So when we have this total solar eclipse, be a warrior of light for your own destiny. Be a warrior of light for your own health, your own body, your own future. And forget about what everyone else is saying. Don't buy into it. Again, I'm not saying that some of these things may happen. I don't know what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, we're going to deal with it. We're going to find a way around it. It's like the times aren't ending. The times are nowhere near ending. I mean, just entering this age of Aquarius, we are entering into a massive golden age at some point, and we're in the beginning stages of it. So yeah, we've still got one foot in the dark ages and one foot in the golden ages. And so we're like, where do I want to go? And it's like, let go of it. Let go of the karma. Let go of the past. This is a time where you're supposed to embrace the new, embrace the forward movement. Okay. And I will say again, if you're looking for a massive boost, like you're looking for some help, I can't emphasize to you guys enough how powerful the retreat in Breckenridge, Colorado could be for some of you if you've been feeling really called to it. I know for some of you it's not feasible for you at this time. Maybe it will be in the future, but for those of you who are really feeling called, I highly implore you to consider coming, because the healing that is going to happen at this retreat, the transformation, not to mention the friendships that are formed and the community that is built. It's so incredible. And again, I'm so excited to be utilizing the new gift that came through for me on the equinox of whatever intelligence is in my hands right now, that again, I don't know what it's doing to move, but my hands just move. And so I'll be communicating with other dimensions to open up portals, to bring in higher energy, to amplify the space for all of you to get the transformation, to get deep into the wounds, to get the answers you're looking for, the keys to your wounds that hold the potency and the power to reveal your future, and intuitive gifts coming online. All of that is available at the retreat. So I would love to see some of you there. All right. So again, if you missed last week or this week's podcast, it was just 2 days ago. It's called the embodiment effect. Mars is all about embodiment. Okay. And we talked about it from a place of very Piscean spiritual nature. So this is a really great episode for you guys to listen to going into the eclipse. I highly suggest you do. My good friend Julia, who I met in Vegas last November, she is on the show, and we talk about how we bonded and what brought us together, and some of the psychedelic experiences we experienced just through breath work, which again is something I'm going to be doing at the retreat, because there's so many ways to experience psychedelic experiences. Oh, no, I can't talk about that just yet. Zipping it. Okay, I'll talk about that later. So I think that's it. If you're looking for a community, join Alchemy. It's super cheap. It's only $12 a month. Okay. And the community in there is like family. Everyone is so supportive. So if you're looking like you need some kind of community to help you go through this process of your own healing and wounding, everyone is very open. Everyone is very vulnerable. You will not be someone going in there and feeling scared of like, oh, I don't know if I should share this. I don't know if I should share that. Like, the community is probably the most potent part of the whole entire Alchemy program, plus all the extra perks that you get with it. So link for that is in the description below. Guys, I love you. Take care for this total solar eclipse. Do not let all of the noise of the fear porn freak you out. Some of you might be going through some really tough changes, maybe even some breakdowns, but remember, all breakdowns are then followed by a breakthrough. Okay. And just hold that within you, hold the faith, and know that we're all going through it. We're all going through it. So let's go through it together, and let's just keep the faith and keep our focus and our attention in a place that actually fuels a better future, not a repetitive timeline that we want to bounce out of. Okay, so again, this is not about looking behind us, this is about forward looking. And this is about massive transformations, big changes, fated events. Again, sometimes fated events mean things we cannot control. But again, with Mars and Pisces, this is all about being adaptable. You can do this. All right. I love you guys so much. Have an incredible weekend, and I will see you soon.